Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to those of you around the world. Welcome to the daily Trade the Chain crypto update, where we give you everything you need to know for the next 24 hours and hopefully the next few days. Today is Wednesday, December 7th, and we are starting off the market on a bit of a rocky start. We of course we do have bullish hourly and daily sentiment on Ethereum. I do think that that is a bit over with, considering the slight boost that we saw this morning. We do have some other hourly sentiment, but a lot of bearish and neutral daily sentiment, which doesn't give a whole lot of inspiration for the market. Bitcoin daily sentiment, of course, still bearish, of course, trying to attack that neutral level, but bearish nonetheless. Hourly sentiment, as we'll check, was looking good. I think people really do want to long the current level, considering how close to support we are. But I don't think that the trading is going to be so kind. So looking at Ethereum, we have 7-day sentiment still bearish, very much unchanged. Hourly looks a lot better in the short term, but we'll have to see if that comes to fruition, as we'll assess in the charts. Things aren't looking very positive, although there is potential. So we do have increased tweet volume for Ethereum. We have decreased tweet volume for Bitcoin. Both trading volume for Bitcoin and Ethereum are down greatly compared to their 30-day averages. And I think that's a very important metric to make note of, especially where we are in the cycle. So looking at DXY, which we typically do to start out, you can see that DXY managed to trickle its way back into the range. It was rejected at this 50-day moving average. Remember, we talked about it needing to break above the 50-day moving average and the 100-day moving average yesterday. It was rejected there, but now it's holding around where the bottom of the range is, which is, important context, is it can definitely be rejected here and then re-tag that daily close area and see if it can make a play. Of course, if it gets rejected here, then risk is moving higher. And if it can flip this level to support and then flip that level to support, risk is probably heading lower. And of course, risk means equities and crypto. So looking at equities, we can see that, actually, let's zoom out a little bit here. Let's get rid of this for now. So this is our hourly chart for S&P equities. This is the daily close, lower end of the range. As you can see here, we've had a lot of volatility leading up into this morning, leading up into basically the US Open. Pretty ugly trading. We have, famous tweezer tops that I typically like to short. I would say close beneath 39.30 would be quite bearish. A close above 39.30 would be what I would call, a solid attempt at potentially reclaiming the daily level, or the daily close, I should say. And of course, equities did break above, how I like to track the RSI trend. But that doesn't mean that it can't, head back lower to potentially tag that or come back down in. So this is really the level that we want to reclaim. If we can't reclaim that, then we're probably headed lower here and kind of do something like that. And then, of course, if it does make it higher, you typically expect a rejection off of this trend. So that's something to consider as well. If we do make it higher, I would expect, either, both this moving average, the 50-day moving average and the hourly, and this trend to act as resistance, provided it makes it up there. But I think it's going to be a tough slog for equities, considering it has to flip the daily close and then of course make it up there. And to start, ideally it closes above 39.30 for potential continuation. So knowing what we do about equities, let's check out Bitcoin. We are going to be on the hourly chart as well. So a bit of a precarious position here, potential, kind of bear flag action. If this breaks lower beneath this, then of course we have support at 16.7, and then it would probably end up heading lower to probably support. I would say this is, I would say this is probably more likely, just given how much trading has happened in this little area. So something like 16.5 would be the next level of support if 16.7 were to break, and I would expect some sort of lift off 16.5, very similar to what we saw here. You know, lift up higher, tag the top, move lower. It's kind of what we're seeing right now. So, of course, Bitcoin is becoming oversold. It is, you know, near the lower end of the trading range that it's been in since last Wednesday. So a full week between 16.7 and 17.3 in some way, shape, or form. You know, but we do have to be very careful of this bear flag pattern, as you know, we've got a lot of sell volume coming in, not a whole lot of buy interest. And we do have, you know, the lower end of the range has not yet been retested after swing failure pattern very early this morning. So my best guess would be, especially if equities do not look very good, you know, with these next few hourly closes, that Bitcoin would and probably Ethereum end up heading towards the lower end of the range for another retest, and then see what happens after that. For Ethereum, of course, the outlook is going to be very similar. The correlation between Bitcoin and Ethereum is quite strong, although the volatility is different. Ethereum is already at the lower end of the range in comparison to Bitcoin. Remember, we just drew the line compared to where Bitcoin was trading last weekend and very early last week. And of course, it's sitting right above those levels right now. So we do have a lot of liquidity in this area. So we have a massive gap here. So, you know, the expectation is it should be volatile in this area. But of course, can't make it above the VWAP, can't make it above, you know, the low from last Saturday, and that is quite worrisome. So not exactly a picture perfect bull or bear flag like Bitcoin is, but expectation, especially if equities cannot recover, is Ethereum heads down here, maybe some volatility there, heads back down to the lower end of the range around 12.17, 12.20, and then potentially falls through before finding support. And I would say, you know, your support levels are, I'm not even going to draw that because that's ugly. So I would say this is something a little bit more likely in terms of where you would expect price to catch. You know, there's very thin trading in this area. And of course, there's a lot of trading right here, so of course that matches with support here, matches with support there. So of course, if we break underneath 12.18, 12.20, probably headed towards 11.70, maybe 11.80. And you know, of course, I think that is likely plausible if equities end up faltering and the DXY, the dollar index, ends up recovering, which it does look likely for that to occur. So I'm not saying we're going to have a straight drop like we did yesterday. That was quite violent, very late yesterday, very early in Eastern time. Many people were asleep, so Asia was in control and clicking that red button. So the China news as well that came out today, I expect a little bit more of a boost, a little bit more excitement about the you know, quote unquote China reopening. It's not really reopening. They're just kind of reconfiguring their COVID strategies. It's not going to be as oppressive, so they say. And of course, you know, I did tweet that there is a difference between what China says and what China does. And I think that's why the market might not be reacting as well, because what they say and what they do can generally be different, especially with how they communicate it to the world. So my mistake there and thinking that might have been a little bit bullish, but of course that's why we have our weather vane equities, to make sure that we're moving in a direction or have momentum based on the fundamentals in front of us. And it does not look like we're going to have a lot of movement or momentum in a bullish direction from the China news, and it does look bearish to me. So I do think that we'll probably be talking tomorrow. After seeing more downside, we could potentially be around the same price, but I would expect us to be lower or have felt downside volatility by the time I talk to all of you tomorrow. So good luck, happy trading. If you're not in the Trade the Chain community, you're missing out on all the juicy good stuff. You can get a 14-day free trial at tradethechain.com, and I will see everybody on the tubes tomorrow. Good luck and happy trading.